The galaxy had long believed that time was a river that could be studied but never touched, yet a wandering. People known as the Chronomancers learned how to listen to its currents and nudge its flow with careful patience. They were not conquerors nor saints, but quiet observers who traveled from star to star, seeking worlds where time itself seemed troubled. When their pale vessels drifted into the human system, they found a planet wrapped in storms of history, where wars rose and fell with relentless rhythm, and where memory itself weighed heavily on every living mind. Earth was in a season of unrest when the visitors arrived. Nations argued over dwindling resources, and ancient grudges still burned beneath fragile treaties. Cities glowed with light, yet were shadowed by fear of what tomorrow might bring. In this world, a young engineer named Alan worked among the ruins of an old coastal lab, where machines built for peace had once been twisted for conflict. Alan believed that knowledge was the only true bridge between enemies, though few listened to him in those tense days the Chronomancers first revealed themselves above the ocean in a shimmer that bent sunlight into soft colors. Their leader, a being called Lyre, stepped forward through a veil of light and spoke in a voice that seemed to echo from many moments at once. Lyre explained that they had sensed a fracture in human timelines where the future spiraled toward endless turmoil. Humanity had reached a point where small choices could shape centuries of either harmony or ruin, and the Chronomancers wished to understand why this world was so. Volatile Alan was brought to meet Lyre because of his work on temporal sensors that detected anomalies left by old experimental devices. He approached the alien with a mix of wonder and caution. Lyre asked why humans struggled so fiercely even when peace was possible. Alan replied that humanity was driven by stories of past pain and hope for future triumph, and that those stories often collided. To humans, time was not just a sequence, but a memory that lived inside every heart. The Chronomancers had studied many civilizations, yet none held such emotional weight toward their own history. On other worlds, time was a tool or a record, but on Earth it was a wound and a dream. Lyre decided to walk through human moments to see this truth. Using their art, the Chronomancers opened windows into key eras of human struggle. They showed Alan visions of ancient battles, of great migrations, of plagues and renaissances. Each scene flowed into the next, like pages of a vast book. As the visions unfolded, Lyre began to grasp the paradox of humanity. Even in its darkest hours, there were acts of kindness that shone brighter than any star. When cities burned, people still shared food and comfort. When tyrants rose, there were always voices that dared to resist. This mixture of cruelty and compassion created a turbulent time field that was both dangerous and powerful. Yet another Chronomancer named Iran was less convinced. Iran saw only chaos that threatened to spill beyond Earth and disrupt the delicate balance of neighboring systems. He argued that humanity should be gently guided by altering a few key events to smooth the worst outcomes. To Iran, this was an act of mercy that would spare countless lives. Lyre hesitated, because to change time was to erase the meaning of struggle. Alan also objected when he learned of Aaron's plan. He said that humans grew through hardship, and that without their trials, they would lose the very spark that allowed them to rise again and again. He admitted that humanity made terrible mistakes, yet those mistakes taught lessons that no perfect timeline could provide. The Chronomancers held a council aboard their vessel, where glowing orbs displayed branching futures. Some showed Earth unified and thriving, while others showed endless war. The difference between these futures often hinged on small moments, such as a treaty signed or a discovery shared. Iran pointed to a timeline where a single conflict led to planetary collapse and urged intervention. Lyre pointed to another, where humans learned from near disaster and built a lasting peace, while the aliens debated events on Earth continued to unfold. A regional war threatened to erupt into a global catastrophe after a series of misunderstandings and secret weapons tests. Alan worked day and night to prevent a malfunction in an old defense grid that could trigger massive destruction. He knew that this moment might be one of those fragile points the Chronomancers had seen. Lyre decided to observe this crisis without altering it. He accompanied Alan in a subtle temporal cloak, watching how humans faced the brink of disaster. Alan coordinated with engineers from rival nations, sharing data openly despite political risks. His belief that cooperation was stronger than fear slowly spread as others followed his example. Aaron watched as well, growing impatient. He saw how close humanity came to annihilation and prepared to intervene by freezing a key decision-maker in time. Liar stopped him, saying that to deny humans the chance to choose was to deny their future. Iran replied that some choices were too dangerous to allow. At the height of the crisis, a launch signal was mistakenly sent from one defense system. Panic rippled through command centers. Alan and his team raced to override the signal, while leaders argued over whether to retaliate. In that moment, a single calm voice from a small nation suggested waiting for confirmation before acting. That pause allowed Alan to cancel the launch and avert catastrophe. The Chronomancers felt the shockwave ripple through time as a path of survival opened. Liar looked at Aaron with quiet triumph. Humanity had stood on the edge and stepped back through restraint and trust. Aaron began to understand that even flawed beings could find wisdom when it mattered most. After the crisis, the Chronomancers revealed
out themselves
to a wider group of human representatives. Liar spoke of what he had witnessed and of the unique power of human resilience. He explained that humanity's turmoil was not a weakness, but a forge that created innovation and empathy. Through countless struggles, humans had learned to adapt faster than any species the Chronomancers had known. Aaron admitted that his fear of chaos had blinded him to the creative force within it. He saw now that to remove all risk would also remove the chance for greatness. The council agreed that Earth should be left to shape its own destiny, though they would remain watchful friends. In the days that followed, Alan worked with scientists from many nations to build new systems that shared information openly to prevent future misunderstandings. The Chronomancers offered guidance on temporal stability, but refused to change any human decisions. They wanted humanity to grow on its own terms. Liar spent time walking among ordinary people, observing their daily lives. He saw families rebuilding after storms and children dreaming of stars. Each small act added texture to the great tapestry of human time. It was in these quiet moments that Liar truly understood why Earth's timeline was so vibrant. Before departing, the Chronomancers left behind a single message encoded in human languages. It said that time was not a cage, but a canvas, and that humanity held the brush. They promised to return one day to see what new picture had been painted, as their vessels slipped back into the folds of time. Alan stood on a hill overlooking the sea. He felt both small and powerful, knowing that the future was uncertain, yet alive with possibility. Humanity would stumble and rise again, just as it always had, but now it knew that even beings who mastered time itself believed in its potential. The Chronomancers carried with them a new respect for a species that thrived in turbulence. They had come to fix a broken timeline, but left inspired by a world that refused to give up on itself. In the endless river of moments, Earth remained a bright and unpredictable current, proving that even in turmoil, hope could endure.